Hello, I'm Dr. James Bogash, Master of Health and Longevity and creator of Modern Health Myths. And I hope you're going to be just as excited as I am to discover a new word. Probably not a new word, but first time I've seen it put together. And it has to do with COVID. And most people seem to think that we don't know anything about COVID and that it strikes without warning and perfectly healthy people die left and right and you're just at the mercy of fate. That couldn't be further from the truth. We have a very good grasp on what happens with COVID, and there's two factors that play a role that are larger than anything else, and that has to do with inflammation and blood vessel health. So that leads to the term of endotheliopathy, and I cannot begin to tell you how excited I was when I heard this word, because wow, does this fit in with everything. Just in case you're not as excited as I am and you need a little bit of a primer to bring you up to speed, the endothelial lining is the inside of our blood vessels, and pathology or pathy means disorder or something wrong with. So there's something wrong with the inside of the blood vessels. And this describes COVID perfectly. It describes a lot of things: heart disease, stroke, migraines, to a certain degree seizures, but our blood vessels not being healthy is the beginning of the end of health as we know it. So this isn't just about taking blood pressure medications, it's about not having good blood pressure in the first place. It's about our diet, it's about our inflammation, it's about our exercise, it's about the fats that we eat. And this wraps it up all really nicely into a package that should empower you to make the right choices so that you're not a victim to COVID and what happens if you get exposed to SARS-CoV-2. So why all the excitement? And it all has to do with a study done out of a hospital in France. And what they did is they took patients who were positive for COVID and they took their blood and they exposed it to basically a laboratory model of blood vessels to see what happens. And it was very clear that the plasma from people who were positive with COVID had an effect on the blood vessels, and a very quick effect on the blood vessels. So even within an hour, these blood vessels were starting to show unhealthy changes related to inflammation and clotting and everything bad that we know of from COVID. So what was interesting is the more severe the patient, so as these patients got into ICU, their blood had an even greater effect on this blood pressure, this blood vessel model. So that all really made sense. What was interesting then is they took the patients who had recovered from ICU and they then put them, when their blood in the ICU damaged the blood vessels, when they then used their blood when they were convalescent, so after they had recovered, that blood now became healing to the laboratory model of the blood vessels. Really exciting stuff. And it just wraps up everything into a nice little package about the clotting and everything that happens with COVID. And all of this darn talk about COVID long haulers and it's this mysterious thing. And no, it all makes sense. If we have unhealthy blood vessels that get attacked by a virus that attacks the blood vessels, the odds of having little microthrombi, so small clots breaking off and creating problems in all kinds of organs, it totally makes sense. But it is totally, absolutely modifiable by your darn lifestyle choices. And we need to get off this kick that we can't do anything about it. And in the past 8 months, people should have been making lifestyle changes to make their blood vessels healthier, but that is not the message that you're getting. And I'm just entirely sick of it because There was another study today from obesity. There was a large obesity conference, and people have gotten unhealthier and more obese during the pandemic, which is just ridiculous and goes completely in the opposite of what we know and understand. So I do have a series of pandemic health lessons, things you can do to improve your health, improve your immunity, but all of those things also improve blood vessel health. And this study wraps it all up very nicely and should empower you to make your blood vessels healthier. That means if you have blood pressure, it's not about taking the darn medications. It's about fixing the problem that puts it there in the first place. You do that, and you're going to have a much lower risk of problems associated with COVID. So I'm off my soapbox. I will, as always, I will share I'll put the link to this particular study in the comments section. Make sure you share this video with somebody who you think needs this information. Subscribe to the channel and like the video.